I'll just do the first two. Do you want to read?
What? Yeah, sure. Whatever.
I'll do the first two. Just want to do the next two.
Testing, testing. Okay, great. Everyone can hear us. Welcome to the Climate Infrastructure Committee meeting. Before we get started, we want to welcome up all the Public Works staff who are here today to celebrate National Public Works Week. It's almost everyone. Come on up.
Are they coming up? Come on. Come on.
Come on, everybody. Yeah.
Let's go. Don't be shy. See, these are the people who hide in their trucks and their snow plows. Councilmember Chavez, we are winning.
Tonight? I hope so. I hope
We're in
so.
Minnesota today, right?
Yep. I hope we're winning. Do you have tickets tonight?
I'm going to bed sad every night.
Hi, how are you? Latricia
Hi, I'm Emily. Nice to meet you. Come here. Come between us. All right. Come on in.
Come on in. Yeah, we can fight.
We can double up. Look at
2 rows would be great.
2 rows.
Multiple rows.
Look,
Nicole, like, I'm proud of you. That's right. Thank you for your service.
yeah. What division do you work in? Streets.
I
Okay.
know.
I love it.
Biggest
Thank
group
you.
yet.
Yeah.
I was dedicated to that,
Biggest group
that CDL test.
Oh,
It was a challenge, but I got
but
it.
you got it.
All right, so let's invite Vice Chair Koski. Do you want to kick us off with the resolution today before us?
Sounds great. So we are declaring the week of May 19th as National Public Works Week, whereas the American Public Works Association will celebrate the 64th Annual National Public Works Week, which will be held the 3rd week in May with the theme Advancing Quality of Life for All. And whereas National Public Works Week is a celebration of the public works employees who make our community better by connecting, collaborating, and responding to provide the services as we as a city depend on.
I'm sorry. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure and services that are of vital importance to a sustainable and resilient city, and whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on the services they provide, such as safe, clean drinking water, solid waste, and recycling collection to help Minneapolis remain a clean and livable city. And
Whereas they manage the stormwater and sanitary sewer network to protect and improve the water quality of our rivers, lakes, and creeks. And whereas public works employees design, build, and maintain the thousands of miles of streets, alleys, bridges, bikeways, sidewalks, and the streetlights, signals, pavement marking, and signage to safely keep the city moving.
And whereas public works employees keep the city's plows, garbage trucks, street sweepers, fire trucks, and so many more running, even on the coldest days and nights of winter. And whereas everyday public works employees take pride in making Minneapolis better. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council acknowledges the significant daily contribution that employees within the Public Works Department of the City of Minneapolis provide to the citizens and businesses throughout the city during National Public Works Week.
All right, I did want to invite and welcome our newest Public Works Director, a couple days on the job, to give some remarks here.
Thanks, Chair Cashman and Vice Chair Koski. I'm going to do something unconventional. I just want to look at all of you and say, first of all, Tim Sexton, a couple days on the job. I know I haven't had the chance to meet many of you yet. I do look forward to it. You know, the work you do is what makes the city function, and the city doesn't function without the people. Then the work that you do is how we get by. So it's what makes this city such a vibrant, wonderful place to live, work, and play. So I just want to say thank you, both as the Public Works Director, but also as a resident. It means a lot to me and my family that we have clean streets, that we have clean drinking water, that we can bike, walk, roll. You know, there's so much of the work that you do that we just don't have to think about, and that means that you're being successful. So thank you, sincerely. Really, really appreciate the work you do, and look forward to getting to know you and working alongside you in the months and years to come. So with that, I want to pass it over to Don Elward, the Director of Transportation. operations and design.
Yes. Thank you, Chair Cashman, Vice Chair Koski, members of the committee, Director Sexton. I have been at Minneapolis over 35 years, and I want to say thank you to my colleagues who have been here with me over 35 years. And it's a privilege and an honor to speak to you today. It's for those of us that have been here this long, we have worked here over half our lives. We have committed half our lives to this organization. We bring commitment, we bring passion, we bring compassion, we bring competent professionalism, and we instill confidence in the people that we work for. We have gone from Fortran punch cards to AI. We have gone from carbon paper to no paper. During our careers, we've worked on the highest bridges to the deepest storm tunnels in the city and the state, the most complex signal systems in the state, the best water in the country. We've gone through the hardest winters and the most challenging field conditions anywhere. We help keep this city clean, and we help our fleets run cleanly. We have helped pulled off celebration events in this city that are local, national, and international. And when things don't go well, these are the people that are the first onto the scene to help with the recovery efforts, and they stick with it to help our city recover. Our individual resumes are impressive, but as a group, our resumes can be the best in the state or this country. Before I hand back the microphone, I'd like to showcase Scott Johnson. Scott, I apologize. Scott has been with Minneapolis for 47 years. Thank you. He deserves it. Scott grew up in downtown and lives in South Minneapolis. Scott started his career at the Central Library. He then was working the front desk in front of the council offices. Then he saw the light and came to Public Works and has done a great job in utility connections for the city and for our residents. Scott, I want to personally thank you in my division for your professionalism, your dedication, your commitment to coordination and leadership, and your compassion to the people you work with every day. Thank you, Chair Cashman, Vice Chair Koski, for letting me get the microphone and speak. This truly means a lot to us, as well as Public Works and the entire city staff at Minneapolis. We are part of a great team and a great city. Thank you. Monique, we're back.
I believe Monique, would you like to say a few words as well?
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to echo what our previous speakers have said by thanking the council committee for having us here today. Really happy to be a part of this group, recognizing Public Works Week and all of the amazing staff that we have working in this department. You see an array of folks here who have been working here a really long time, 47 years. That's amazing. Well, we also 46 and everything in between, because we also have folks that are just getting their career started as our trainee program. So I'd like to give them a shout out as well for choosing Minneapolis. And so here goes my plug. We have a bunch of opportunities available at the city of Minneapolis, and we want to invite residents from Minneapolis, the surrounding areas, to consider us for your career options. So we have a lot of opportunities, including CDL driver positions in our Public Works Service Worker 1s and 2s, auto mechanics, as well as equipment service workers, and positions where you can have opportunities to get paid on the job training that includes benefits. That is unheard of these days. So we would like to make sure everybody knows about those opportunities, as well as engineering technicians and inspection utility connections. So Please take a look at the website and look for any opportunities. There's also a jobs page where you can get a wealth of information on any opportunities that you might be interested in. So thank you all again so much for having us. We look forward to continuing to do the work for everybody.
Thank you. Did you get a picture? We'll just smile quickly for a picture if possible. Maybe try to get as, maybe a panoramic if you have it.
Can we say thank you to Jen Swanson?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Thank you to Jen Swanson for taking the photo, but also being our amazing interagency coordinator.
Yeah. Killing it.
I don't know what we would do without her.
Let's say Public Works on 3. 1, 2, 3. Public Works! All right.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all for doing that.
That was awesome.
How do you coordinate the coming in now?
That was so wonderful.
Thank you very
for
much.
those remarks.
Thanks for the opportunity to give those
course.
remarks. We have a great team, and we all report up through Brian and up to you, and we take it seriously.
Yeah, you make
you.
you make
Hold on. Can we get the women, the Public Works women, back up here? Chair Cashman. Chair Cashman. Chair Katie. Let's get the women. We want to get it. Irene. Irene. If we can get the Public Works. I know that we have some individuals who have been, some women who have been here just new, but we also have 47 and 44 years. So, and 46. So.
Okay, thank you everyone for participating in that. And at this time, I will ask the clerk to please call the roll so we can verify a quorum for this meeting.
Councilmember Vita.
Present.
Osman is absent. Chavez.
Present.
Chowdhury.
present.
Vice Chair Koski.
Present.
Chair Cashman.
Present.
There are 5 members present.
Let the record reflect that we have a quorum, and really excited to have Clerk Kendall in her first day as the clerk for this committee. So just bravo to you. Okay, so we will start out with our consent agenda, which is items 2 through 10 on the agenda. Item number 2 is approving appointments to the Bicycle Advisory Committee. Item number 3 is approving appointments to the Pedestrian Advisory Committee. Item number 4 is authorizing negotiation for the 2024-2025 Highway Safety Improvement Program Traffic Signals and Pedestrian Improvement Project to improve the safety at 12 intersections. Item number 5 is authorizing an agreement with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency to host a Green Corps member. Item 6 is authorizing an agreement with the Metropolitan Council Environmental Services for reimbursement of construction costs within the 2nd Street Sanitary Sewer Project and the 1st Avenue South Paving Project. Item 7 is authorizing a master funding agreement with the Met Council for installation and maintenance of transit advantage projects on city-owned streets. Item 8 is authorizing a partnership agreement with the Met Council to administer the Transit Assistance Program through the Minneapolis Service Center. Item 9 is approving appointments to the Community Environmental Advisory Commission. Item 10 is authorizing the submittal of an application to the Federal Department of Energy Communities Sparking Investment in Transformative Energy Grant for a residential energy efficiency program. And item 11 is the 2024 Public Works Honorary Resolution as presented in the beginning of this meeting. So lots of good work on the consent agenda today. And are there any discussion from colleagues or items that folks would like to pull for? Yes, Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Chair Cashman. I'd just like to make a few comments on item number 8. I want to thank Director Winde and her team for all the work that they've done to get to this agreement with the Metropolitan Council. This would provide dollar bus rides to low-income people and train rides as well, and they will be serviced at the Minneapolis Service Center here in downtown. This is a good opportunity to help expand our transit options and make it more affordable to residents of Minneapolis. I had worked on this with Council President Payne and Mayor Fry's office just last year, so it's good to see this come into fruition and become part of our expansion of transit in the city of Minneapolis. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Chavez. Are there any other comments from colleagues? I would also like to just quickly acknowledge the Bicycle Advisory Committee appointments, Pedestrian Advisory Committee appointments, and Community Environmental Advisory Commission appointments. For Ward 7, we have 4 members joining these committees, including Cliff Mountjoy Venning, Amy Nash, Eric Smith, and Gladys Mejia. And I'm really looking forward to working with them, so I thank them for volunteering and applying to be part of these commissions. Okay, Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you so much, Chair Cashman. I kind of wanted to just echo your comments, welcoming the new members to the Bicycle Advisory Committee. We have a new appointment for the Ward 12 seat, David Dietz. And today is, we're celebrating Bike Week, so I think this lines up perfectly on our agenda. I'm really hoping that as we're getting new appointments to these committees, we can, as a committee ourselves, work closely to understand the recommendations that come out of there and kind of inform our legislative work. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I also just wanted to take a second to thank all of the folks that were a part of the work on the transit assistance program, particularly Councilmember Chavez. I remember when he was working on this earlier, and I think this is a great step towards equity in our city and also partnerships with other agencies. It's a wonderful thing if you can show up to our service center and get offered something like $1 ride throughout our city. And I hope as we're discussing opportunities for 311 service centers to be located within community, thinking about it in our safety centers, this is an opportunity we can bring there as well, because this is a great resource and it's all about helping people get around our city and live the lives that they deserve to live. So really exciting consent agenda.
Thank you, Councilmember Chowdhury. And if I could just uplift one more item here, number 5, with the MPCA agreement to host a Green Corps member here. Really excited that Green Corps member will be serving our solid waste and recycling team, and will be serving from mid-September to mid-August of 2025. So just did want to let folks know about a little more detail on that item. And with that, I'll move approval of items 2 through 11. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, and those items are approved. Next, we will take up the public hearing on our agenda. This item is the project approval and assessment for the Whittier North residential resurfacing, and I will ask Public Works Director Tim Sexton to introduce this item. Microphone, please. Thanks.
There we go. Thank you, Chair Cashman. To discuss this item on the Vision Zero annual report, we have Ethan Foley, the Vision Zero program coordinator in
This is the Whittier North residential
I
resurfacing.
apologize, Chair Cashman. Had a brief moment there. Yes, so to talk about Whittier North residential resurfacing, we have Tracy Lindgren, who's a senior professional engineer in transportation maintenance and repair.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee chair and members of the Climate and Infrastructure Committee. My name is Tracy Lindgren. I'm a senior professional engineer in Public Works, and I am here to present to you the public hearing for the Whittier North Residential Resurfacing Project and recommend passage of resolution ordering the work to proceed and adopting special assessments in the amount of $786,667.02 for the Whittier North Residential Resurfacing Project, and passage of resolution requesting the Board of Estimate and Taxation authorize the city's issuance and sale of assessment bonds in the amount of $786,667.02 for the project. Whittier North Residential are local streets and bounded by Franklin Avenue East to 26th Street East and Lindale Avenue South to Nicollet Avenue. These streets were reconstructed in 1982 and 1985 and have a pavement condition index of 52. The scope of this project is a 1 and 2-inch asphalt overlay, which is known as street resurfacing. 81 ramps were upgraded to current ADA standards prior to this project. Public Works hosted a community meeting on Tuesday, May 14th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. at the Whittier Recreation Center with 572 invitations mailed, and 4 attendees came to the meeting. On February 8th, 2024, the City Council designated the improvements proposed to the 2024 street resurfacing program. The purpose of the asphalt resurfacing programs is to extend the life of some city streets which are not scheduled for any preventative maintenance, renovation, or reconstruction in the foreseeable future. This resurfacing program is addressing city streets that are at a point in their life cycle where a new surface will extend the street's life, improve ride quality and neighborhood livability, and help slow the overall deterioration of our city street system. The proposed street resurfacing special assessments were determined by applying the 2024 uniform assessment rates to the land area of benefited parcels located within the street influence zone along the improved streets. Information has been provided to the affected property owners and the notices mailed to them as to how persons may prepay the special assessments in full without interest if they choose. City Council has passed resolutions whereby deferment of special assessments may be obtained by showing hardship for any homestead property owned by a person 65 years of age or older, retired by virtue of permanent and total disability, or military personnel ordered into active military service. This concludes my presentation, and I am available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lindgren. I will now proceed to open the public hearing. We do not have anyone signed up, but if you would like to speak, you can see the clerk to sign up to speak on this item. Each speaker would have 2 minutes to provide testimony. All right, seeing no one who wishes to speak on this item, I'll close the public hearing and ask if there are any questions from committee members. Seeing none, I will move approval of this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? That motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Lindgren. Next up, we have item number 12, which is receiving and filing a presentation about the 2024 Vision Zero annual report. And here to present on this item is Ethan Foley.
Hello, Chair Cashman, members of the committee. Maybe I should sit down here. This mic, I tell you, it and I do not get along. Anyway, I'm here to share around the 2024 Vision Zero annual report. So as folks know, Vision Zero is the city's goal to get to zero severe and fatal crashes on our streets by 2027. We're working on our second Vision Zero action plan right now. So last year, continued elevated level of traffic deaths in our city. As you can see here, really since 2020, we've been dealing with a lot of challenges in our community, right? And this is one of those. And it's a lot of ways it's related to some of the other challenges we're seeing, right? And so we still have a lot more to do here, and I'll talk about a little what's going on. But I think it's always important that we talk about the people behind those numbers, right? And so these are the names of the 26 people who died in traffic crashes in our street last year. They all have stories. Some of these we've seen covered a lot. The 5 young Somali women who were killed on Lake Street by a driver who ran a red light, very high speeds. Just terrible tragedy impacted our whole community. I think also about Anna Lee, 36-year-old, who leaves behind 3 children. She was crossing Lake Street at Blaisdell Avenue with 2 of her children when a driver was speeding through and ran the red light. Her last action was to push 2 of her kids out of the way, who she was crossing the street with. She received her Ojibwe spirit name of Biwabik Ikwe, which means Iron Woman, after she was killed. So there's so many other stories here. I think it's important that we recognize that these aren't just numbers. These are totally unacceptable, and we have to do better as a city. I'll just take a moment here to read through the names. Thank you. Okay, now to transition back to some of those numbers. So, I talked about the changes from prior to 2020, and you see we have this kind of 2 things going on here. We see severe and fatal crashes up and quite significantly, while total crashes are down very significantly as well. And there are probably a few different things going on here. There's probably some underreporting, and we don't have a good sense of how much that is true. But I also want to recognize just that, speed is such a big factor in whether a crash is severe and fatal. And since we've seen the big increases in speeding, that is a big factor in why I think we see these 2 trends happening in recent years. We also see, as with many things in our cities, our inequities are exacerbated in this area since 2020. And the map on the right here shows the location of severe and fatal crashes last year, and you can see some parts of our city have very relatively few, which is great, and others much more concentrated, particularly in our transportation equity priority areas. Here's percent of fatal crashes that clearly involve speeding. This is down just a smidge, this last year, which is promising, but still way too high, and we have a lot more work to do. This is by far our biggest factor in particularly our severe and fatal crashes. So what are we doing about it? Last year the council passed our Vision Zero action plan for 2023 to 2025. We've been working diligently on that. I'm going to talk about some of the highlights from that now. We have our quick build safety improvement program called our Vision Zero projects. You can see us, this last year we installed at more than 100 intersections improvements, and just a lot of different things here. I'm going to talk a little more around why we do quick build treatments in a second here, but I just want to also acknowledge here, you see the map We have worked over the last 4, and also if you put in 2020, really 5 years, and have installed quick build safety treatments that we know work well at basically all the city-owned high injury streets. And so we're really now transitioning, and you see this coming year, we have a little more focused work at fewer locations as we transition to the next stage of our work on improving safety on these high injury streets. So I also want to just acknowledge a partnership project with MnDOT on Olson Memorial Highway, which has made it from a 3-lane street in each direction, 2-lane street, reducing crossing distance and other things. So I really appreciate MnDOT's partnership on that. So why do we use quick build safety improvements? So the core reality here is money. As noted here, if we go out and want to install a proactive concrete bump out in an intersection, it's in often cases about 100 times more expensive than doing that with flexible posts because we get into catch basins and other things, and it just gets very expensive. So this allows us to get out and there's no way we could have this map of how many places we've installed safety treatments in the last 4 years if we were only doing concrete. This allows us to reach that number of locations. We've also seen locally and nationally that we see benefits from these treatments, and we've had research partnerships with the University of Minnesota Human First Laboratory looking at specifically our local examples of this, and we have found benefits here as well. It also allows us to implement some things that we just frankly can't do with concrete. So back here in the middle of the street here to the left, there are 3 yellow bollards, which we call hardened center lines. Those we can't do that way with concrete. We just can't. It also allows us to test things, see how they're working before we implement permanently. So you see some examples of the types of things we do here: bollard pedestrian safety islands, bollard protected bikeways, and protected intersection islands. We also do bollard bump outs. These are the most common things I think we see around town, and probably the things that what are you doing? I get that question sometimes, why are you doing this? Maybe you do as well. The reason here is about intersection visibility. So this is at Lake Street in Chicago. I happen to live right here. But it's an example of where we had an intersection where we used to let people park right up to the intersection, right up to the crosswalk. And you can see what that means for visibility at the intersection. So having a bollard bump out allows us to improve that intersection visibility and allows us to ensure that somebody doesn't park there. Maybe it's illegal, but they don't park there, making visibility worse and making it harder, less safe. And so we have seen, we found local benefits from this in a 2021 U of M study we did with them. We are currently studying this compared to concrete bump outs. I think we would expect that concrete bump outs have more benefits. That's fair. They also cost a lot more, as I mentioned. And then the bollard hardened center line, what these are about are left turn traffic calming. So left turn crashes are the largest challenge for us for pedestrian safety, because drivers end up at a little higher speed, and so it's more likely that a crash is to be severe or fatal. And so we're forcing folks to slow down that when they turn and changing the angle of that turn so that visibility is improved with pedestrians crossing the street. So we have found some modest benefits locally, and other cities who've had more robust studies than we've done locally have found even more dramatic safety benefits. So just a little note on some of those things. I will also just note that we see these as a bridge to getting to concrete treatments, right? This isn't what we imagined forever. We are now shifting the focus of our Vision Zero capital program toward concrete treatments pretty much exclusively going forward because we've reached our high injury streets with bollard treatments. And then what we're continuing to look at these and analyze how are they working, what are the safety benefits we have. We have a crash analysis will be coming up as well, looking at before and after crash data on these sites. And then we're continuing to kind of fine tune as we do maintenance, process improvements for the design and operation of these. So just a note on some of those things since I know we get a lot of questions. So hopefully that's helpful for folks. All right, a few other things. Well, we got a big federal Safe Streets for All grant earlier this year that we applied for last year. Very excited to start work on this. The map of the locations of this is shown on the screen, so we did have to include the locations that we're going to be planning to do improvements at. You can see 25 miles of high injury streets here. Those locations are already determined, plus a lot of lower cost signal safety improvements at many other intersections, as well as some other complementary things. So this will touch all wards of the city because we have different programmatic elements that will be moving around the city as well. And then you can see the focus on high injury streets with this work as well. So we're really excited to get going on this work. We anticipate starting an engagement on this more robustly late this year, early next year, and with finishing up implementation in 2029 for these. We also have been working to build safety into our capital projects, which we work to do in all of our capital projects. You can see the number of big projects that completed last year. I mentioned the safety challenges and stories of Lake Street, which is the highest crash street in the state of Minnesota and highest injury street in the state of Minnesota. And so I'm really excited that we started a big change there this last year and have more of that happening now this year. We also, Lyndale Avenue North is another street we've had a really high challenges with, particularly since 2020. And so I was really glad that we installed at 7 intersections some really meaningful work there, which you see the top picture here. And then lots of other great work. And we've also been continuing to bring resources to this work going forward with grants and other things. Our neighborhood traffic calming program, I appreciate all your support for that with funding and whatnot as well. But we had our new process deliver our first projects in 5 different areas of the city last year. And so really proud of the work of our traffic safety group out of our traffic division. And you can see 12 new traffic circles, 46 speed humps. This is really important work. So thank you for that, to their work. And then, we've been working to get traffic safety camera pilot. We needed legislative authority. I'm excited to say that we hopefully are very likely to get that this session. It is included in the conference committee report on the transportation omnibus bill, which will be hopefully approved by both bodies in the coming days here. And so, that bill allows us and one other city to do a pilot of traffic safety cameras. And so really excited for that opportunity, and we'll have a lot more to come on this with you and the community. We'll be doing a lot more engagement, and there will be a number of council and mayoral actions that are needed in this area. The earliest we could start a pilot, if everything comes together, would be next August of 2025. And with that, I'll take any questions, and I thank you all for your support.
Thank you so much, Mr. Foley. I, just want to say, if every single person who worked at the city had as much care for the real impact of the work that you did, we would be living in such a more compassionate city. So just thank you for, caring about human life so much and so deeply and in the work that you do. I was wanting to ask you a little bit about your collaboration with the county. Just knowing that, first of all, in the red light cameras, that some of the most high injury streets are county streets, and then also with traffic calming efforts, we do not have jurisdiction there, but what are some of the approaches that you're taking and how we might support as well in bridging more connections to do traffic calming work, red light cameras, and other strategies on Hennepin roads?
Thank you, Chair Cashman and members of the committee. So a partnership with the county is really important. You're correct. About 40% of our high injury streets are operated by the county. And I want to just say I really appreciate how they are increasingly focused on improving traffic safety. And so I think we've seen that with a number of recent projects where we've really, with them, in partnership with them, started to tackle many of the more challenging and most high injury streets in the city. So that includes, I mentioned Lake Street, Lyndale Avenue South. West Broadway is one we're working on in coordination with the BLRT extension project. So those are like 3 of our highest injury concentration streets in Minneapolis, and all of them we're working actively with the county to either implement things right now or in the near future. And so they're also working on a Towards Zero Deaths plan for the county. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to partner with them more on that coming forward. And so there are a lot of other projects coming, Lowry Avenue North on high injury streets, or Northeast, I should say. And so as just one, they're all over the city. And so they have a lot of new funding, and we're really excited to be partnering with them as a lot more projects come through on the county system. They're great opportunities. I will note you mentioned traffic calming. The county, like the city, for what are called our state aid streets, we're limited in the amount of on a traffic calming we can do in the traditional sense by state rules. And so that's something we're actually looking at and continuing to talk about, just to give us more tools for what we can do on those busier streets. For traffic safety cameras in particular, I definitely am hopeful that we will be able to work out a partnership with the county to be able to include some of our pilot location on county roadways, as it makes sense based on engagement and our analysis coming up.
Okay, thanks. Councilmember Chavez?
Thank you, Chair Cashman, and thank you, Ethan, for all your work, and along with Public Works staff, to keep our residents safe. It's really important. I have a question about the bollards. Do you have data? One, I support them. I think they are really important part of keeping residents safe. Part of it is making people uncomfortable and making sure that they can be more careful when they're on the road, specifically drivers, right? A lot of my residents do have a lot of questions about the bollards. I'm trying to figure out how we can get data of, like, for example, where last year on 35th or 36th Street in particular, one of the most dangerous areas in the city. And now that we have bollards, if we can get data of, like, its effectiveness, how they work, and how many, like, less crashes there has been in those areas in particular, just trying to point to specific data points that we can show our residents of why these are important, why they matter, why they keep people safe, and just because they don't look pretty doesn't mean they're not working.
Chair Cashman, Councilmember Chavez, committee members. So we do have some data points. I didn't want to make it too data heavy here. We're going to make some updates to our site web page for this to include a little more of this why, and we will include some of that research. I will just note, I mentioned that we're going to be doing a more comprehensive before-after crash analysis of our locations where we've installed quick build safety and treatments. So I believe in, like, having good data-driven decision making, and part of that is recognizing you need more than 1 year of data before and after to make a good, to have a, so I can point to some examples, really positive examples, but I think it's important for us to do that with enough data. And so really what we try to get to is 3 years of before-after data. We have a lot of sites now where we're approaching that amount of time, and so that's where we are planning to do that analysis hopefully next year, so we'll have that locally as well. But we will be including some of those, the research we've seen locally already, as well as the stats from other cities too.
Sweet. Thank you, Ethan.
Vice Chair Koski?
Oh, thank you, Chair Cashman. Mr. Foley, just a quick question on slide number 16. It's the federal funding. Would you mind just going over in a little bit more, I think you just passed it, yeah. A little more detail of what the legend means, and, with the dots and the colors, just to have a better understanding of, and maybe it says here that, are these all, so those are the 25 miles and the locations determined, and kind of maybe what might happen? And I mean, I get that that's a lot, but just kind of high level, what could be happening at some of those intersections, or what could be possibilities?
Yeah, Chair Cashman, Councilmember Koski, and committee members. So great question. I realize this is not the most community-friendly map yet. We will have a more community-friendly version of this. I will just note that when we get into more detailed engagement. These are, the different colors are just different categories in our application that we just put things together so the FHWA could understand what we were saying. But those are all of the lines shown in the different shades of color here are the routes that we are planning to do treatments on. Those will be mostly median type treatments in some way. So there's an example here of a pedestrian safety island. We will be we anticipate installing, I think it's about 150 new pedestrian safety islands with this. All told, our estimates are roughly about 390 new intersection medians, different types of streets, some of them adjacent to bikeways, some at signalized intersections, unsignalized intersections like this. And the reason we're focusing on those median treatments is they help with speed challenges that we have. That's what we've done on Lyndale Avenue North, for example, this past year. And we'll take all the intersections we haven't done and we're gonna do more up there. So they help with speed. They're also relatively inexpensive for us to install proactively. So we wanted to deliver the most safety benefit we can for the amount of investment. And that's really because we don't have to adjust catch basins and other things that can really drive up costs in a project. So that's what you're gonna see at a lot of intersections. We're also gonna be doing lighting improvements. We'll be doing some other treatments, some ADA upgrades, curb ramp upgrades, and a few other kind of some protected bikeways, some lane safety conversions in some of these streets as well. So.
Okay, thank you so much. That's helpful. Do you expect that this 25 million will all be spent this year? Oh, it says 25 to 29. Sorry, got that. Okay. And is that the sunset date of the funding is 2029? Or is there a sunset date?
Chair Cashman, Councilmember Koski, we need to have all the funding obligated, which is a fancy firm for we've said what we're going to do and how much it's going to cost by, I think it's September 30th, 2029. So we could technically install something in 2030. Our plan is we're really working to have everything installed, implemented by 2029, and then 2030 is just sort of a backup if something had to move or something.
Okay, and then one other follow-up question. Last year, I know when we were talking about different traffic calming measures and the council wanted to add additional funding in the budget for this, we were also simultaneously waiting for some of this funding to come through, and there was a possibility that some of the applicants that maybe were coming in or some of the requests through the traffic calming program would intersect with some of these. Do we know, or is it possible in the future to see a map of where we're kind of, I don't mean doubling up, but where some of those traffic calming measures through that program are going to be able to be fixed through this grant? The reason why I ask is as we look to the future of how much we need to budget for that program, I think it would be important for us to understand I think the projection could look a little different now, depending on if some of this overlaps with it.
Yeah, Chair Cashman and Councilmember Koski, great question. So there isn't any overlap between this and the neighborhood traffic calming program because neighborhood traffic calming is only eligible on local neighborhood streets, and these are all busier high injury streets. So this will not cover any of the kind of the demand in that area. I will note we did have some funding in our previous year's application for some neighborhood traffic calming. We ended up taking it out of this application, and that was based on some feedback we received through the process, really that we had to be as focused on the core goals of the projects and really make that case as strongly as possible. And so we ended up cutting a few things that they seem to be implying maybe weren't helping us score well enough to get funded.
Okay, that's super helpful. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Chowdhury?
Thank you, Chair Cashman, and thank you, Mr. Foley, for your presentation and work on this. It's really appreciated. I really appreciated the way that you shared that these are not just numbers, these are people. And I just kind of wanted to share with you, leading up to a question that I have, I sit on the Transit Advisory Board, and my first meeting of the Transit Advisory Board was taking a presentation that was about fatal crashes and deaths. And it was a really difficult meeting for that committee. Showed a similar trend of like a large spike regionally of injuries and deaths from 2020 to 2021, and it's now slightly trending downward, but not nearly where it was before 2020. And one of the things that we had to vote on, and was one of my first votes, was how many fatalities should be okay. And it was very difficult for that entire body because the answer is 0. We had to vote on 81 to get to the goal of 74, which is the regional goal. And in that committee, I pointed out how we had a Vision Zero program because many members in the region were sharing, what can we do to get to that goal of 0? And so I think we can connect offline to share about how maybe there's a presentation to offer the region, because this is really, really great work, and it can encourage just more federal support for this type of work. The question that I have in just looking at the trend is, in order to solve the problem, we oftentimes have to understand why, and I'm wondering if you had some information to share on why we've seen this spike, and then kind of the resistance to get the numbers to decline and get it to pre-COVID numbers.
Yeah, Chair Cashman, Councilmember Chowdhury, thank you for the question. Thanks for your work on the Transportation Advisory Board. So I mentioned the increases in speeding that we've seen. I think overall, I review all the fatal crash reports. And, I think when you look particularly at fatal crashes, there's been a shift from post-2020 to just more what I would say is clearly what an average person would say is fairly reckless behavior. And I think that, that is, when we think about all the stresses that people in our community have felt since 2020, in a variety of ways, you can understand that sometimes that comes out when you're driving. And I think the reality of that is we also have to understand you have that responsibility, because when you're driving, there's the possibility that that recklessness can cost somebody else or yourself their life. And so I think we have to, that's part of why, I think it was important for us to look at traffic safety cameras, is how do we start to just have some checks on that reckless behavior and do it in a way that we know is proven to be the most effective way to do it, which is automated enforcement. And then I think it's hard. There's so many things that take up space in what people have attention on, and so I know traffic safety is lower down that list, and that's why I think, in a perfect world we would all do a lot of education or something, and we just have found that that's just unlikely to be effective. And so that's why we continue to be focused on what are the things we can do in the street with street design operations that help us support safe behaviors, help support people driving at safe speeds, and then what are the most proven kind of enforcement pieces that we can add on to that that can help address some of those challenges. So hopefully we're, I didn't mention the numbers so far this year. So far we've been trending much better this year, but we still have a long way to go, even with where we're trending so far this year. So.
Thank you, Chair Cashman, and thank you, Mr. Foley. Just, I really appreciate that, and just talking about how behavior change is really key in getting to Vision Zero. I know in our discussions around traffic calming funding, there's a high demand and there's only so much capacity and so much funding. One thing that I have been hearing from residents is community members really taking an opportunity to use art, community funding to really address different problem intersections. I think there's 36th Street on the south side that is looking to do this larger art project, and it's collaborating with the school in the area, connected with me, connected with other folks within the city, and this is more of a comment. I'm hoping we can potentially have a discussion about what are opportunities for residents that can come together, can find funding to be a part of traffic calming efforts that builds capacity for Vision Zero. I think there's some really great opportunities here that people are really interested in doing. The question that I do have is, I see that Hiawatha Avenue is on the list of projects, and that's one area where I know that there's 2 light rail stations, 38th and 46th in my ward, that go off of that. Have seen myself on Hiawatha Avenue, people trying to cross over to the light rail of all different ages, young kids, seniors, and it's really scary. And I, alongside many residents, worry every single day of, like, is someone going to get hit? Is someone going to get hurt? And people have. I see that there is a project that is along Hiawatha. So if you could just detail a little bit about that, and then also kind of get a little bit of an understanding of what our relationship to MnDOT is here for Hiawatha Avenue and improving traffic safety for all folks that use the road in the future.
Chair Cashman, Councilmember Chowdhury. So for Hiawatha Avenue within Safe Streets for All, we're going to be doing some signal safety adjustments here. So really it's about kind of adjusting how it's sequenced there so that we are improving safety, because we see a lot of running of red lights and other things contributing to some of the crash challenges there. So this is something that we know will help with some of those challenges. So this, with Safe Streets for All, it's just going to be that. We're not going to have other kind of major work and concrete work or other things like that. But we are working with MnDOT on 26 in Hiawatha right now, which we hope to implement in 2026. That's correct. Yep. So some big improvements there. We had 4 fatal crashes in or near 26 in Hiawatha just last year. So definitely that's crazy and very important. We're also working with MnDOT on, I think it's 2027 improvements at 46 and Hiawatha. I just want to also just say, they did some spot treatment work. It was mostly ADA related accessibility work with a project they had a few years ago. Let's just be honest, it's wholly inadequate from a safety perspective. So I just want to acknowledge that. And we have to continue to work with our MnDOT partners, and I'm glad that we are on these projects where we've gotten some outside resources. It's one of those where it's an application we put in, another one was an application they put in. So I think both agencies recognize that there are needs here. We're also working with the county and MnDOT on Hiawatha Lake improvements right now. So this continues to be a corridor that we're working at.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's really helpful to know kind of where we're at. And yeah, I look forward to continuing to hit on the drum about behavior change on Hiawatha and the relationship we have to build there, because I agree with you, and I think residents agree with you. The changes that have been made have not been adequate from that safety perspective. So thank you for your insight, and that concludes my questions.
Thank you, Councilmember. Before we move on to as go, I'll call on Councilmember Visha.
Thank you, Chair Cashman. Just quickly, I wanted to say thank you, Ethan, for your work at the Capitol this session around the cameras. I know you and I have felt very differently about the street cameras, but you brought me a long way, and I'm looking forward to some of the problem areas in my ward, or just on the north side in particular, to seeing this pilot program be launched there and what the future is for the north side, Ward 4, some of the problem areas. I mean, our numbers of police are down. These cameras are a way for folks to not have to have police contact, but there's some accountability in place with the excessive speeding, especially in some of these really dangerous areas where we see crashes. They're not all fatal, but there's a lot of crashes in some of these areas, and it's hard. It's hard on community. It's hard on everyone when we see this happening, especially in some of the same places over and over, some places almost on a daily basis. And so I really want to thank you and all the staff. You've been at this for a really long time, and I want to thank you for your commitment to Vision Zero, for just keeping at it and finding new ways to get funding. And, I don't like the bollards. They don't look good, but they also are mostly down. People complain about how it looks, and they don't see it as safety. So I'm really looking forward to the future of what we could put there as a more permanent structure than having streets like Glendale with blocks and blocks of bollards down on the ground. So thank you again for your work and all the staff and community that supports you in this work.
Thanks. I did want to, I hope, it's okay, Mike, but there's a constituent here in the crowd, and I was wondering if you might be able to connect with him in particular after this presentation. They are from the Bryn Mawr community, have an active transportation committee, have a lot of really great ideas at the neighborhood level about traffic calming, art, Penn Avenue in particular, slowing down traffic, which is it's a school route with 2 schools there. And, as we were at the As You Go event this morning, Mike asked me, are we supposed to send our kids out into these streets and then have an injury happen and then it gets prioritized? How can we be more preventative in assessing streets danger beforehand? So if you don't mind connecting with Mike and talking through some of that criteria, that'd be really great. Thank you. All right, seeing no further questions, I'll ask the clerk to receive and file that report. And item number 13 is up next. That is an update on the As You Go Minneapolis 2024 campaign. Here to present on this item is Amy Barnsdorf.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Amy Barnsdorf. I'm a transportation planner in our Transportation Planning and Programming Division of Public Works. Here today to talk about the As You Go Minneapolis campaign that some of you may be familiar with. I'll talk a little bit about the background, why we're doing this campaign, about our year 1 that we had last year, talk a little bit about the 2024 campaign that is just launching right now, and then the future of this work. So back in 2022, in collaborations with the Communications Department, Public Works developed a multi-year mode shift campaign. And really it is about, it's a communicational, educational, and encouragement campaign that is here to promote mode shift, trying to reach the goals of the Transportation Action Plan. As you know, Public Works does a lot of infrastructure, a lot of trying to make our streets safer, more accessible, and this is really kind of that educational encouragement piece of this work. As I mentioned, it is a multi-year campaign, really about behavior change, backed in research that we've done, both with national research and Minneapolis-specific data. So in 2023, we launched year 1 of our campaign. We internally calling it the Try It campaign, really trying to encourage people just get out, try it. It was a multimodal focus, so walking, rolling, biking, and transit, highlighting the benefits around health, time savings, social benefits that people can get from these different modes, and really getting outside of your vehicle and traveling around the city in a different way. We really wanted to focus on highlighting that behavior change at key moments where people are in low stress situations where they can try it and have a good first experience to be able to try it again. And potentially make it a normal behavior or more regular behavior into the future. And so as part of that work, we partnered with various organizations such as Metro Transit, Lime, VO, and Spin last year, providing free bus passes, promo codes for people to get out and try it, trying to have the educational piece of it, highlighting those benefits, but also having some incentives, getting people to go out and actually lower that barrier to entry. So in 2024, as part of Bike Month and National Bike Week, which is this week, we are launching the Year 2 campaign, which is focused around biking, specifically biking for transportation. And so again, it's around education and encouragement, trying to help people get started biking, highlighting reasons why people bike around the city, tips to get started, and really connecting people with the resources that exist different incentives to encourage biking, and we're kind of removing barriers where we can. As part of this campaign, working to highlight some of our new and existing all ages and abilities bike infrastructure that we have across the city, and then again partnering with other agencies and organizations that are in this bike space across the city, trying to strengthen the collective work across Minneapolis. So some of the key elements to our 2024 campaign is really around content marketing, again, education, trying to demystify these non-vehicle modes. So much of our society is focused on vehicle travel, and so it's a lot about shifting people's mindsets about how can they get out and try these things if they're not doing them on a regular basis right now. And so with this campaign, we are highlighting tips on how to get started, tips to how to ride safer, reasons to bike, and then testimonials from Minneapolis neighbors, really highlighting reasons why people right here in Minneapolis are doing this. We want to, people have very personal reasons why they like to bike, and so really just showcasing some of that. Additionally, we are leading and supporting some events that are focused on biking and active transportation. One of those, Celebrate Bike Week event, that was this morning. I know I saw a couple of you out there at that event. This was in partnership with Move Minneapolis, really just highlighting, kind of getting people out there, excited about biking, part of National Bike Week. There was bike tune-ups, things like that happening. It was really great, and a decent turnout there. So other events that will be happening throughout the summer related to both the Public Works event series and As You Go event series, highlighting, doing some grand openings, celebrating new AAA bike facilities that we have across the city, doing some loop routes with select programming, trying to provide opportunities for people to get out and try the infrastructure that's out there, whether it's new or has been existing for a couple of years. More information about those will be up on the website later this month, but those loop routes will be one in South Minneapolis and then one in Northeast Minneapolis for people to get out and try biking on our AAA bikeways. And then additionally, another event that Public Works is supporting is Open Streets. That'll be out there later this year as well. So the future of As You Go Minneapolis, as I mentioned, this is a multi-year marketing campaign. In 2025, we'll be shifting that focus from biking over to transit, as well as doing some secondary initiatives focused on some really specific key life moments where behavior change can be more targeted. And so a couple of those include what we call Welcome to the Neighborhood, targeting people that have recently moved, trying to highlight infrastructure around the location of where they're moving to, providing information on how to get around, transportation options, things like that. And then a college initiative, really trying to connect with people who might be living car-free or car light while they're in school, and trying to, again, normalize those non-car modes, highlight the infrastructure that exists, and really get people to instill those behaviors in them during that time. And then really this program will continue to support the TAP, supporting different transportation projects, programs, and initiatives across Public Works. So with that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Amy, for that presentation. Had a really great ride this morning with about 10 people from the Sculpture Garden through Loring Park and down Hennepin Avenue, and we were all just remarking on how far we've really come as a city with our bike lane investments and just riding on that protected lane on Hennepin Avenue and then getting onto 4th Street and coming all the way to the Commons in a really safe environment. It's just a lot to celebrate and how far we've come. I don't have any questions about this. I think it's great work. I think, you know, even before I was a council member and everything, I saw a lot of this social media about As You Go and found it really motivational and just inspiring to really think about what trips you are taking by walking, biking, rolling, busing, etc. And I know we are trying to reach 3 out of 5 trips to be taken by active and public transportation methods by 2030, and I think we're well on our way, and we should all be committing to be doing that in our day-to-day lives and just to reach those goals personally as well. Any questions or comments from colleagues on this item? Vice Chair Koski?
Thank you, Chair Cashman. I just want to say thank you so much for the presentation and for the work. I was there at the launch of this program last year, and it is a constant reminder for myself that there are many trips that I can shift. And so I appreciate this reminder once again. As many of you know, I'm an avid pickleball player, and so that is one shift I've made, is that when I go and play pickleball, I bike there. I could get in my car, but I bike to the pickleball courts. But I think it's just important for us to continue to remind ourselves, our families and friends, that there are those that can and have the ability to change their mode of transportation to try once in a while. So thank you.
Councilmember Chavez?
Thank you, Chair Cashman. I assume as part of the campaign, we're going to be promoting the e-bike rebate that's coming up in 3 weeks?
Yes. Thank you for the question, Chair Cashman and Councilmember Chavez. We will definitely be highlighting that as a resource. Other organizations have a lot of information, and so we're trying to, again, partner with folks that are already kind of promoting that information, have a lot of resources, and so we will definitely be sharing about that.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, seeing no further discussion, I'll ask the clerk to receive and file that report. And our final item on the agenda is number 14, which is a presentation on the city's lead elimination action plan. And here to present on this item is Alex Vollmer, Supervisor of Lead and Healthy Homes.
Hello. Is there a way to get to my presentation? Is there a presentation that you have?
I'm not sure if there is, but if you don't have any PowerPoint slides, then, you know, we always have it on our side, like on LIM, so we can look it up ourselves.
Okay.
And you're welcome to give your presentation just with audio by using the microphone.
No? All right, let's go with it that way then.
Sounds good.
Cool. Thank you all for your time today. So I wanted to go over the lead elimination action plan, just some updates and strategies that we have been developing in the Minneapolis Health Department. So thank you for your time today. My name is Alex Vollmer, the manager of the Lead and Healthy Homes team in the Minneapolis Health Department. So just starting off, since 2015, we've had 987 children in Minneapolis that have been diagnosed with lead poisoning. While this number is verified by the cases of lead poisoning, unfortunately the actual number of children affected by this legacy toxin is much higher because not all children are tested. Lead poisoning causes permanent brain damage, which means slowed development, decreases in coordination and attention span, aggressive and impulsive behaviors. Lead poisoning is 100% preventable, and it starts by knowing where lead hazards exist. So kind of want to talk about like elevated blood leads and lead poisoning as a public health concept. I think generally it's really easy to say children shouldn't be lead poisoned, but like conceptually or like logistically, how do we actually make that happen? That's much more difficult in practice. And the reason why is because the systems that were put in place to reduce childhood lead poisoning were really developed in the 1970s as a response to the overwhelmingly high rates of lead poisoning. So they were, cool, thank you, right here. So they were designed to deliver resources to the children that were most impacted. This resulted in a reactive system that responds only after a child is lead poisoned. So kind of that whole like canary in a coal mine. We're using children as lead paint detectors. Most children today are poisoned from dust and deteriorated paint in their homes. We're looking at paint and dust that's over 100 years old. We know that windows and painted floor surfaces carry the highest risk. Above in this slide are just some photos of paint conditions from elevated blood lead investigations, which have led to lead-poisoned children. So we have common, normal toddler behavior leads to this exposure, just because they're in homes that have these types of conditions in them. So we're talking about exploring their world, crawling, learning how to walk, pulling themselves up by the windowsills, using hand-to-mouth behavior to explore their world. These are the types of things that will cause a child to be lead poisoned. So what our goal is, again, is to stop using children as lead paint detectors, effectively stopping a problem before it is a problem. So the Lead Elimination Action Plan was developed in 2021 and adopted by the council in July of 2021. Inside that plan is 6 strategies to prevent lead exposure from 4 key sources: paint, soil, consumer products, and water. Just as a side note, water is not seen as a major public health risk at this time due to the successful corrosion control program that's put in place by the Minneapolis Water Works. But it is still something we want to be concerned about because we do have lead service lines that are distributing water throughout the city, and so we don't want to be caught off guard by that. So these 6 strategies: expand resources and opportunities for residential property owners to mitigate lead-based paint hazards, improve the existing housing stock by requiring the removal or repair of lead-based paint hazards, prioritize interdepartmental coordination across the enterprise, ensure that lead hazards are identified in our residential housing stock, engage with community-based partners to promote lead education and awareness, and reduce the amount of lead-containing products at Minneapolis retail locations. So underneath our 6 strategies, this is just my slide of all of our tactics that we have. So I'd encourage you to read through the Lead Elimination Action Plan at any of these. Be happy to discuss these at any time. Just also wanted to get an opportunity to show some additional photos that our staff have collected from out in the field, just as the conditions that Minneapolis residents are living in, unfortunately. So today's update on the Lead Elimination Action Plan will highlight new initiatives that were developed since the plan was adopted in July of 2021. I'm also going to go over some future concepts and invite my colleague Annika Bankston here to discuss much anticipated funding for strategic and comprehensive lead service line replacements. So around the same time that the Lead Elimination Action Plan was adopted, ARPA funding was also coming to the city. And we were fortunate that a good amount was allocated to the Health and Regulatory Services Department to develop a collaborative inspections program where we quantitatively test lead-based paint at rental properties in our priority neighborhoods. So these are items 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4 of the Lead Elimination Action Plan. And those are listed here. So just a little history on lead poisonings in Minneapolis. This map shows block-by-block locations of lead-poisoned children between 2015 and 2022. We don't have 2023 on here yet, but I wanted to show because this was critical to the development of the Lead Elimination Action Plan. So you can see residential homes are all over the city, but clearly there are clusters of Minneapolis where children are disproportionately affected by this toxin. If you start looking closely at the data, we know that lead exposure is also an environmental justice issue, where most lead poisoning is occurring in rental properties due to building conditions that are violations of the rental licensing standards, and is therefore within the ability of the city to affect by repairing those harmful conditions and enforcing the current ordinances. So in addition to rental property as an important risk factor, our work has also found that BIPOC communities and residents of lower income status are most impacted, where we have 70% of our children that are lead poisoned are identified as BIPOC. These are self-identified numbers, so either as through race or ethnicity. And then 80% of those families are at 80% or less of the area median income in Minneapolis. So just some kind of more mapping to show, again, how these all overlap. So these have two maps here. One is showing kind of rental property locations within the city of Minneapolis. The darker blue and purple areas have higher concentrations of rental properties. Next is the qualified census tract maps. The qualified census tract is the definition by HUD is a census tract where I think 50% of residents in that census tract are at underneath 60% AMI. In 2024, for a family of 4, that's about 65,000. So just kind of toggling back between these two maps, you can see that there's quite a bit of overlap. So again, as part of our LEAP, we also wanted to make sure that we're spending our money effectively and getting the most out of it, most ROI for it. So we developed a list of target census tracts and target neighborhoods within the city. So this map represents those targeted census tracts, which are based on pre-1940 build, the population of children under the age of 6, the qualified census tracts by income levels, and the percentage of rental units. So that's data that's coming from the city of Minneapolis, the census, the federal census, and the American Community Surveys. So for the purposes of our elevated blood lead prevention, we consider the entirety of 5 neighborhoods as priority. So they're not all included in these targeted census tracts, but the neighborhoods are Phillips, Central, Powderhorn, Hawthorne, and Jordan. And those are based on the 5 neighborhoods that have the highest historical rates of lead poisoning in the city of Minneapolis. So I also want to highlight that low-income renters are in a particularly tough situation because they, in addition to having less financial means to repair their homes, they're also without that decision-making power. It's not theirs to decide whether or not that property is going to be maintained or updated, and what that schedule looks like. So they're kind of at the mercy in a couple of different ways. So because of this, we like to use a 2-pronged approach with our funding, which includes a thorough inspection and enforcement program, as well as financial benefits for remediation. What are we trying to do with the lead elimination action plan? Like I said, it outlines a number of strategies and tactics that the city can take to implement to reduce the risk of lead poisoning for Minneapolis residents, most importantly, children and renters. So we know where the greatest hazards are located because we've been doing this work for a long time. And we know the risk profiles across the community that would allow us to make the biggest impacts. Because lead poisoning is heavily concentrated in just 5 of the 83 neighborhoods in Minneapolis, we feel like there's a really big opportunity to impact the number of lead-poisoned children moving forward. So what this model demonstrates is the potential impact that we can have on our future numbers if the city invests in targeted inspections and remediations. So we've identified within those target neighborhoods about 5,000 rental properties that meet those criteria that we feel like would be the best place to start with, and where we have been working on. And kind of what this shows is that, so you can see back in 2015, we have higher numbers, and they are trending down. We had a bit of an increase in 2021 and 2022, which we feel like is really because of the COVID pandemic and stay-at-home orders and kind of just like moving towards staying at home. So children are spending more time at their houses and more time indoors. So they're kind of getting more of that. That green inspection, the green line that shoots way up and then kind of gradually comes down, that is the introduction of our ARPA programs and where we were increasing the number of inspections. That yellow line shows the completion of our ARPA program at the end of 2024. And kind of what our return to usual or return to normal secondary prevention kind of program would look like. So that's only responding to children who have diagnosed lead poisoning and not getting ahead of the problem in a systematic way. So what we've been able to accomplish so far since 2022, when the funding through the American Rescue Plan came through with health inspectors and housing inspectors, we have completed 629 dwelling units in those priority neighborhoods. And what we have found is that 85% of those units have lead-based paint in hazardous areas, and 460 of them have lead-based paint hazards. So that's 73%. So we have 73% of the houses that we wanted to get into actually had lead-based paint hazards, and 85% have lead-based paint. So just the presence of lead-based paint means that there has to be some sort of remediation effort to prevent that from becoming a hazard. So that's why those remediation funds are important. But basically what it also shows is that lead-based paint is still very common in Minneapolis, and something that we're trying to get around. So again, this is a collaborative effort between health and housing, where we're doing joint inspections during routinely scheduled rental licensing inspections, and we're targeting in those 5 priority neighborhoods again. So in addition to the inspections that we did with the ARPA funding, we've also received like renovation funds. And so in 2022, 2023, and so far to date in 2024, we've paid out over $1 million in completed contractual services within these neighborhoods, which resulted in 145 dwelling units being made lead safe. We currently have over $1 million in projects under contract, so at an additional 120 plus dwelling units. And this is just a screenshot from our open bid page on the city's website, showing that we have open bids currently estimated, around 250,000 available for various projects. So that's everything that I'm going to talk about for the inspections, but here's Annika to talk about the lead service lines.
Thank you. Hello, once again, my name is Annika Bankston. I am the Director of the Division of Water Treatment and Distribution Services in the Department of Public Works. And I'm excited just to provide a quick overview in introducing the first year of our lead service line replacement program. Just to orient you to what a residential water service line looks like in Minneapolis, here's a diagram. Basically, in Minneapolis, the private property owner owns and is responsible for the entire service line from the point of connection at the water main all the way into the home. And the city of Minneapolis just owns the water meter and the water meter reading device. And so generally where lead may be present is in the underground pipe connecting the water, the connection from the water main into the home, and then interior plumbing in a given property. Typically, as is common in many cities that were, kind of developed over the beginning of the century, many of those service lines were made with lead. Up until 1930 in Minneapolis, typically the connection from the water main at the street to the stop valve used lead pipes, and then from the stop valve actually into the home has typically been galvanized steel. And we estimate of the about 101,000 or so service connections in the city of Minneapolis, about 44,000 were constructed with lead when they were installed. We've been doing detailed review of our repair and replacement tap records since then, and we estimate there's still probably about 39,000 service lines in Minneapolis that have a portion that are still lead and would be subject to replacement. So again, I was really pleased to be able to partner with the Department of Health on this to again emphasize where hazards of lead exist. And in Minneapolis, the most common source of lead exposure is that lead-based paint in homes. And again, just to reemphasize the point that thank you to Mr. Vollmer for making, is that we do deliver safe lead-free water throughout the city and to all the properties. There's no lead in the Mississippi River. And in addition, we maintain pH and add a corrosion control compound that ensures that a protective scale does get formed on those lead pipes and the home plumbing to make sure that that lead is not in contact with the actual drinking water that's being consumed. That being said, they do represent, lead service lines do represent a potential exposure route that there's an increased emphasis on. And thankfully, as I'll talk about momentarily, funding available that helps us work to get these lead service lines replaced at residences. So this is the first year of what we see a 10 or really probably 15-year plus program to replace all the private lead service lines in Minneapolis. An individual service line replacement costs on average $8,000. It can range from $5,000 to even $20,000 depending on the amount of excavations and right-of-way repair that's required. But thankfully, there is both federal and now state funds that were made available last year that can be used to replace private lead service lines. So that has always been an issue or a consideration in Minneapolis, in that we cannot use public funds to replace private infrastructure, and these are private service lines. And so these funds are coming to the city through the state's Public Facilities Authority, administered through the Drinking Water Revolving Fund program. And so actually at this committee, you'll notice maybe in the footer here, we went and received permission or received authorization to apply for those grants and enter into subsequent grant agreements for the replacement of lead service lines. And so that's in flight. We have 3 project areas, and that includes replacement of lead service lines in the green zones, replacement of service lines associated with street reconstruction projects. So again, when we're doing excavations and removing pavement, it's a good opportunity to perform those other improvements in the right-of-way and not have to go back and disrupt that in a later under later separate projects. And then replacement of leaking lead service lines. So this again has been something that's been before, I guess, previous iterations of this committee. And when a private service line leaks, you have to replace it. We do not allow people to repair lead service lines. We have to take that opportunity to take that lead service line out of service. And so prior, the property owners were required to replace that lead service line at that cost of, say, $8,000 to them. But now we're able to leverage these funds available to pay for that replacement because that basically does constitute the intent of getting these lead service lines out of service. So again, this is just an introduction. We actually, the service line replacements for leaking lead service lines has been kind of in progress since April. The call for bids for the replacement of service lines in green zones in 2024 is actually out for bid right now. We hope to award in June and start work in July. And so again, with these federal and state funds available, we're really excited to be able to start leveraging these monies and build up this program and get to all 39,000 lead service lines over the next decade or so. So, thank you. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Wilmer.
Yeah, you just leave those, I think, yeah. Thank you all. So just to conclude here, a couple of additional pieces that we're pushing forward through the lead elimination action plan. The health department has been building out its communications team recently. So we've been fortunate to have that resource to advance education and really make it targeted to our communities. So over the last couple of years, we've put together a few videos that I wanted to highlight here, really just to educate and empower our residents on how to keep themselves and their families safe. If they don't have the resources or again that decision-making power in making changes to their homes. So we have techniques on how to properly clean windows that have lead paint and lead debris in them, not only to remove that hazard, but to keep themselves safe while they're doing so. We have our public interest stories where we're highlighting families that have gone through our programs and the benefit that it has given them. And then lead paint safety overall, again, kind of trying to highlight the unique circumstances that we see in Minneapolis and to keep those ourselves safe. And also community education. We're out in the community on every single corner of the city on a daily basis. And particularly in the summertime, we're doing a lot of blood lead testing events out in the city. So these are our numbers from 2023. We're actually just getting started on our seasonal outreach efforts in 2024. We just had an event, our first event over the last couple, we actually had two events now, a Cinco de Mayo event up in Northeast Minneapolis. We were at the East Phillips Community Center last Saturday for a health fair event where we partner with a Sustainable Resources Center, one of our community partners. They have a mobile testing van. If you've ever seen it around, it's a big orange van. It's called Leady Yeti. And we actually are able to do blood lead testing inside that van, which allows us to go to parks, neighborhoods, even to people's front doors to really reduce those barriers to getting those tests. Like I said, not every child gets tested. So you can see here that in 2023, we were able to get additional 408 children tested through these programs. We had 53 kids that show that they had lead present in their blood, including one adult worker, so a parent of a child. And then as a result of that, we were able to get into an additional 75 homes to do lead education and kind of point out to families where hazards might exist. We got 28 enrollments into our lead grant from that. And I want to give special shout out to my colleague Ferdoza Omar, who's back here too. She is she puts on all these events and does all the logistics and coordination with it. So yeah, I just want to say thank you to her as well. So that's it for the presentation. So I'm open for questions too.
This is a really great presentation. Thank you, Alex and Annika, for all of your work and collaboration here and for all of the information that you shared with us and all the plans that you have going forward this year. I just was pretty astounded by the 876 cases of lead in homes that you found from 2015 to 2022, and it's very clearly concentrated in the green zones of Minneapolis. So I'm just wondering if you can just confirm that the reason for that is pre-1940 builds and also percentage of rental units. Are those the two main factors?
Yeah, those are definitely, like I said, over 60% of the properties that we go into for lead poisonings are rental properties. And then, so 1978 is the year that lead was outlawed for residential use, the challenge. And so you get this, we get that feedback from people that says, well, it was banned in 1978, how do we still have this problem? Well, 90% of our housing stock was built before 1978, with the majority of that being built in the 1920s, 1930s. So we're looking at really, really old houses here. Once you get to 1940, you start to see a diminishing use of lead in houses due to kind of a reallocation of resources to World War II. So you see less paint products at that time. But yeah, the houses that we go into are, pre-1940 is really what our target areas, our target years are.
Okay, and then very early on in your presentation, there was a slide with strategies. And one of them was about ensuring lead hazards are identified in residential housing stock. And number 4, how do you do that, or how do we systematically do that in our housing inspections?
Sure. So Chair Cashman, members of the committee. So all of our healthy homes inspectors are licensed lead risk assessors. So that's a state license that we are required to hold in order to do this work. We use portable X-ray devices called X-ray fluorescence. It's literally an X-ray gun. It uses a radioactive source to identify lead. Yeah, without getting too technical, we have these devices that can do instantaneous, non-destructive testing, so it's super nice. We don't have to like take a paint chip sample. We don't have to like bag it up and send it to a lab. We don't have to wait for those results. It's literally a point and shoot device. So when we go into homes to do these inspections, we are doing, on our lead poisonings, we're doing anywhere from 300 to 500 readings. So it's a really comprehensive analysis of all lead, of all painted surfaces, both inside and outside of the property. And so that's kind of how we do our testing. And that's really what we're trying to implement with our, through what we have been implementing through our prevention program, is we know where those hazards exist and what the risk profiles look like. So we're really trying to get to those homes that kind of meet those risk profiles before we have to go because a child has been exposed.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Vice Chair Koski?
Thank you, Madam Chair. On slide 9, I believe, you said that there were about, I think when you were talking about this slide, you said there's about 5,000 rental units that you are looking to inspect. Could you just dive into that a little bit more in the process of that? And I guess I'm just trying to understand if we have the funding for that, if we are on the, okay.
Yeah.
I think you got my.
Yeah. Chair Cashman, Vice Chair Koski, committee members, thank you for that question. So we use data from the City of Minneapolis Rental Licensing Department to pull rental licensing lists. We looked at those neighborhoods. We compared it against our historical lead poisoning locations to kind of determine how do we want to prioritize our time and our limited resources in an effort to make the biggest impact, right? So we looked at, we used this mapping right here to say, here's where we have been in the past, and so here's where we want to be spending our time. So we took a list from the rental licensing department and said, okay, we have age of house, we have the type of house that children live in, so most of our families live in single-family dwellings, duplexes, triplexes. So we looked at those houses. We combed through building permit records to find out if there was permits pulled for like significant renovations. We're trying not to go into the houses that we believe don't have a problem. So any place that we've been to in the past, our goal is also, if we go to a house, we don't want to go back to a house. Because if we have to go back to a house, that means that there's been another lead poisoning, right? So we get there once, and we don't want to be back there. So we knock those off of our list. If they've gone through previous like grant programs that we've had, we don't go through there. So that's how we generated the data for that list. Currently, the city general funds only funds that secondary prevention model, which is secondary prevention is responding after a child has been poisoned. And currently, the only funding that we have to do a primary prevention is through our HUD lead hazard reduction grants and the ARPA funding. So the ARPA funding is scheduled to run out at the end of 2024 with all the other ARPA funding. So that's when this program will unfortunately be done.
Thank you. That's helpful. And so when you say the program is done, so how many homes do you feel like we're leaving behind after the ARPA funding is?
Yeah. So Chair Cashman, Vice Chair Koski, council members or committee members. So what we have been able to accomplish so far is 629 units. That's through April of 2024. Okay. We really had a goal of getting to 1,000 units by the end of 2024. So that's what we're working through right now. Again, we're doing collaborative inspections, so we get notice from the housing department on when they're going out to a rental licensing inspection, and we coordinate a visit with them. So we'll continue to work through that. I think we're going to end a little short of our 1,000 goal, but we'll be, probably about 750.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. So about potentially 4,000.
Yeah,
units.
so about 4,000 units left that we would feel are a priority at this time. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Chair Cashman, and thank you so much for the presentation. In regards to the 6 strategies to prevent lead exposure, I'm looking at bullet point number 4, ensuring lead hazards are identified in residential housing stock. And sorry if this question isn't for you, but do you know if property managers are required to know their residents, the persons that are renting the units, to let them know that some of their housing stock rental units have this poison and this lead in their buildings?
Chair Cashman, Councilmember Chavez, committee members, thanks for that question. So there is no current requirement to do testing for lead-based paint. What does exist is a federal disclosure rule that says if you have done testing for lead-based paint, you are required to disclose that information. So, and in addition to that, property owners, either at the time of leasing or at sale, are required to disclose that, or if they have not done testing, they are supposed to get, they talk with the seller or the buyer or the leasee that there is no knowledge, and it's just an acknowledgement that the house was built pre-78, and so there could be lead there. So one of the benefits and why this is one of our strategies is because that once we do that inspection, then now we do have a record of lead-based paint testing, and so that will carry forward to future property owners and future residents of that house. So it's not only trying to mitigate for the riskiest components, but it's also trying to kind of give information and education so that way when people are making future renovation projects and putting those into place, they can know where lead-based paint is so that they're not harming themselves, their families, or their residents.
Awesome, thank you. I'm trying to think about like a proactive, at the front end, if we can figure out as part of our requirements when you are a property manager, making sure that we can get ahead of it. That way it can also help staff not have to just go to random places and then figure out if there is lead exposure. I just want to say thank you very much. A lot of this lead poison is in my ward, unfortunately. It's a lot in North Minneapolis. It's where a lot of the renters in our cities live. And I'm just very appreciative of the work that city staff is doing to help, protect not only our children, but just residents in the city. It's really important. Thank you.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you so much, Chair Cashman. This is more about the lead pipe service lines. Thank you so much for coming up. I'm interested in learning a little bit about where we are in getting the federal and state funding and that timeline, and then are we expected to do a local match at all, or are we wanting to do a local match?
Thank you, Chair Cashman, Councilmember Chowdhury. So everything is really in the stand-up stage right now. The good news is that Minnesota both received about $50 million from the $40 million a year from the first allotment of the IIJ federal funding. And actually just this past couple weeks ago, they announced that Minnesota had the highest increase in the amount of the appropriation coming to states, upwards of $86 million. So money from the federal government, and then the state legislature appropriated about $240 million last year to be used over 10 years. So there's a good pool of money for startup funding, and I think that, to your question, the long term, how we're going to get to all 39,000, that's going to require some funding considerations down the road. One of the concerns or challenges right now is with this federal availability. Everybody everywhere is doing this right now, and so it's very challenging to manage we are working with contractors, but just the amount of copper pipe needed, the number of plumbers needed, so right now a lot of this work is being done at a premium. And so again, in Minneapolis, understanding how we're managing that lead risk with our drinking water supply is I think we're in a very good position to make sure we're using the funds properly. But as the model is right now with the state, each year we apply to be included in the state intended use plan that the Public Facilities Authority. So we're basically planning a year ahead for next year's project. So we're kind of starting small with about 400 service lines this year. Next year we're targeting 1,000, and hopefully the year after that we're kind of up to a 2,000 or 3,000 service lines per year replacement kind of cadence as we can get to in a given year. And again, understanding the funding. And so right now the plan is to leverage all that state and federal funding with and because it's all going to private service line replacements, no match is required. So it's basically fully grant funded replacements at this time. But that is going to be a future question, I think, because these funds, if the funds aren't continuing to be allocated at the state or the federal level. So.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Are we at a point with the revolving loan fund in terms of like how much interest we're planning on putting? Is that still something that we're detailing out?
So the applications were due, the process is that you have to apply to the Minnesota Department of Health. So those applications were due May 3rd, and then in June, so those will be approved, and then in June will be put on the state intended use plan, and then that intended use plan gets published and there's public comment, so it actually doesn't become official until like November for next year. So, and that's something working with our state partners, especially for this ongoing annual continual need, figuring out if there's ways to manage that funding more on a continuous basis as opposed to these individual project years. But that gets complicated with state finances and accounting and things like that. So but we have very good partnership with the state agencies as we're working through these programs stand up together. So.
That's really helpful. My last question is, in terms of the service lines that we want to allocate grant funding to, is that going to be largely determined by staff, or are residents going to apply and then staff will take a look that way?
So with the state allocation model, they actually did include some prioritization criteria, and so that some of the things with income levels and hazardous and environmental justice, a lot of those things aligned with the green zone designation. So that provides us a pretty good initial set to do. But there's other considerations that will meld those priorities with our program rollout. There is some benefit into locating projects together. Let's get all the lead service lines in a few block area. So I don't anticipate kind of just an open application process, but it'll be more like how we can roll this out again in a cost-effective manner as we group the service lines in project areas together. So.
Because we have that lead service line dashboard ourselves that we're looking at, right?
Yes, yeah, and as you can see, they are spread throughout the city, similar to lead-based paint in Minneapolis. Generally, before 1930, the service lines had a lead component to it. There was a period during World War II where copper wasn't as available; it was being used for ammunition production, and so there was some lead installed there. But that's again, typically 1930 stock and prior is what we're looking at for where those service lines will be targeted, and those actually are surprising, maybe not surprising, but spread throughout, really geographically throughout the city. So,
thank you. I really appreciate you knowing the history and sharing the history with us.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we definitely learned a lot today. That was really, really informative. Thanks for being so proactive and strategic with both your areas of work, which are obviously very intersectional, and for filling us in today. So. Seeing no further discussion, I'll ask the clerk to receive and file that report. And with that, we have concluded all business to come before the committee. So without objection, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.